A very tall son named Barron. Has anyone ever heard of him?
Most people see Barron Trump as the quiet shadow in a loud political dynasty. But that changed in an instant. In a rare emotional moment, Barron broke his silence, and what he said left even Donald Trump completely speechless. What could possibly move the former president like this? Let's find out. A story of fate, fame, and family. In September 1998, under the glowing lights of New York City's Fashion Week, a young Slovenian model named Melania Knaus walked into a party at the Kit Kat Club. She had only been in the United States for 2 years, working hard to build her modeling career. But that night, her life was about to change. At the same party was Donald Trump, already a famous billionaire businessman known for his real estate empire and bold personality. He had come with a date, but the moment he saw Melania, something clicked. He couldn't take his eyes off her. She stood out, not just because of her beauty, but her calm, confident presence. Donald approached her with his signature charm and asked for her phone number. But Melania, not easily impressed, refused. She didn't want to be just another woman in his life. Instead, she asked him for his number. It was her way of testing him, seeing if he was truly serious. Trump passed that test. He gave her every number he had, his office, his home, even his private line. A few days later, Melania called him. Their first date went well. Very well. They discovered they had more in common than they thought. Strong work ethic, love for family, and a desire for privacy in a very public world. But their journey wasn't perfect. They broke up once in 2000, mainly because of the media attention surrounding Trump's potential presidential run with the Reform Party. But love brought them back together. By 2004, Donald and Melania were inseparable. That year, at the Met Gala, one of the most prestigious events in New York, Donald proposed to Melania with a stunning 15-carat diamond ring estimated at $1.5 million. She said yes. Their wedding on January 22, 2005, was nothing short of a fairy tale. Held at the Episcopal Church of Bethesda by the Sea in Palm Beach, Florida, the ceremony was followed by a lavish reception at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Celebrities, politicians, and business elites filled the guest list. Melania wore a breathtaking Dior gown that took 1,000 hours to make. So heavy, she could barely walk in it without help. But it was all worth it. She had become Mrs. Donald Trump. The next chapter of their lives was even more meaningful. On March 20, 2006, Melania gave birth to their son, Barron William Trump. Unlike Trump's older children from previous marriages, Barron would grow up as the only child of Donald and Melania together. From the beginning, Melania took a very hands-on role as a mother. While Donald remained busy with business and later politics, Melania focused on raising Barron. She kept him out of the spotlight as much as possible. Even after Donald became president in 2016, Melania didn't immediately move into the White House. She stayed in New York so Barron could finish his school year, a decision that showed just how seriously she took her role as a mother. Barron was a unique child, tall like his father, quiet like his mother. Melania nicknamed him Little Donald because of his confidence and presence. "I am a full-time mom," she once said. "That is my first job, the most important job." When Donald Trump announced his campaign for president in 2015, Barron was just 9 years old. The campaign trail was chaotic, intense, and polarizing. Through it all, Melania remained mostly out of the political spotlight, choosing to stay in New York with Barron during the early months of Trump's presidency. She didn't move into the White House immediately after the inauguration. She waited until Barron finished the school year. showing again that motherhood was her top priority. In June 2017, Barron and Melania finally moved into the White House. For the first time in decades, a young boy was living there. America's youngest first son since John F. Kennedy Jr. Donald Trump, for all his brashness, frequently praised her publicly. He once said, "She's got an amazing heart and an amazing mind." But aside from his mother's steady guidance, another question remains: what role has his bond with his father played in shaping who he's becoming? Let's explore. The bond between Donald and Barron Trump. From Barron's early childhood in the towering halls of Trump Tower to his teen years under the shadow of the White House, the bond between father and son has unfolded mostly out of public view, but not without significance. Barron Trump was born in New York City when Donald Trump was 59 years old. Unlike his older siblings, Don Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, Barron was born during a different phase of Trump's life. By then, Donald was no longer just a real estate mogul. He was a global brand, a reality TV personality, and a man who lived in the spotlight. But Barron's arrival was met with joy. Trump proudly announced the birth to the media within minutes. It was a softer, quieter moment for a man better known for headlines and controversy. As Barron grew older, Donald became increasingly proud of his son. In public, he often commented on Barron's appearance, his height, his resemblance to Melania, and his quiet intelligence. Trump once joked, "He's tall, he's smart, and he's very serious. Maybe he'll be better than all of us." But there was also a visible protectiveness. When Barron appeared in public, especially during Trump's presidency, Donald made sure to limit the attention his son received from the media, a rare act of restraint from someone who otherwise embraced the spotlight. During Trump's presidential campaign in 2016, Barron was just 10 years old. He appeared occasionally at events, but was mostly kept out of the public eye. As Barron entered his teenage years, his relationship with his father seemed to mature. No longer a boy in the background, Barron began showing signs of awareness and curiosity about the world his father inhabited. There were reports, largely anecdotal, that he gave Donald advice about connecting with younger voters, suggesting podcast appearances or more modern digital outreach. Whether true or exaggerated, it showed a new side of their bond, one of mutual respect. Donald, in turn, began publicly acknowledging Barron more, often referring to him as "my tall son" or "a very bright young man." While he remained fiercely private, Donald seemed increasingly proud of who Barron was becoming. The boy who once walked shyly behind his father now walked beside him, towering in height and quiet confidence. However, their relationship wasn't without complexity. According to Siege, Trump Under Fire, by journalist Michael Wolff, there were alleged moments of insecurity on Trump's part, particularly around Barron's growing height. As Barron began to tower over his father, Wolff claimed Trump avoided photos where the height difference was obvious. Whether this was ego, image control, or paternal discomfort, it hinted at subtle tensions that weren't spoken aloud. One of the few areas where Donald and Barron Trump genuinely connect is their shared love for sports. Though Barron is more reserved and keeps much of his personal life private, it's well known that he has a strong interest in soccer. In fact, while living in New York, he played for DC United's Youth Academy and later trained with other elite teams. Donald, on the other hand, has long been passionate about golf, often spending weekends on the course during his presidency. While their sports preferences differ, both value competition, discipline, and focus, traits that bridge their generational gap. Trump has praised Barron's athleticism in interviews, calling him a good athlete, very tall, very fast. And while they don't necessarily play together, their mutual respect for sports as a mental and physical outlet strengthens their father-son connection. It's one of the few domains where Donald steps back and lets Barron lead. Privately, Barron began taking an interest in his father's world. In 2024, reports emerged, unconfirmed but widely circulated, that Barron had advised Trump to connect with younger voters through platforms like podcasts and social media, suggestions that Trump reportedly followed. Melania backed these claims, saying Barron had an instinct for modern communication. Barron Trump has lived most of his life behind a curtain of privacy, but let's give you some rare glimpses into the world he quietly navigates. Barron Trump's private life unveiled. From the moment he was born in the marble-walled penthouse of Trump Tower, Barron Trump was destined to live a life unlike most. As the only child of Donald Trump and Melania Trump, Barron grew up surrounded by gold-plated luxury, private security, and intense public curiosity. But unlike his older siblings, he wasn't thrust into the spotlight. Instead, Melania took full control of shaping his early years, choosing privacy, protection, and normalcy over fame. Barron's early schooling took place at Columbia Grammar and Preparatory School, one of Manhattan's elite private institutions. While most students rode the subway or walked to class, Barron traveled with Secret Service detail even before the presidency. He was a quiet, well-behaved student, known for being respectful, focused, and guarded. Melania kept press and paparazzi far from him, rarely allowing school photos or public appearances. In 2017, when Donald Trump took office, Melania chose to delay their move to Washington until Barron completed his school year, reinforcing her priority: stability over political optics. Once in D.C., Barron enrolled at St. Andrew's Episcopal School in Maryland, a modern choice with strong academics and a privacy-first policy. It became one of the few places where he could just be a student. Though quiet, Barron showed flashes of personality. He developed a passion for soccer, joining the D.C. United Youth Academy and later playing for Arlington Soccer Association. Friends said he was serious on the field and often played midfield. At home, he was described as tech-savvy and curious, reportedly bypassing parental locks on devices and helping his father with tech advice. Trump himself joked that Barron was very good with computers, hinting at a digital fluency that surpassed his own. When the Trump family moved to Florida after the presidency, Barron began attending Oxbridge Academy, a private prep school in West Palm Beach. Again, security was tight. Classmates were warned not to take photos or discuss him online, and Barron kept a low profile. He grew noticeably taller, now standing over 6'7", and classmates described him as polite, reserved, and chill. Though many speculated about the pressure he must face as Trump's son, peers said he seemed to handle it all with quiet maturity. He graduated from Oxbridge in May 2024, with Melania and Donald proudly attending the ceremony. Not long after, he enrolled at New York University's Stern School of Business, reportedly choosing it to stay close to home and explore business, tech, or perhaps even media. NYU students soon confirmed his presence, noting that Secret Service agents were often nearby but discreet, and professors were warned to maintain confidentiality. Still, Barron stayed out of campus gossip, attending classes quietly and keeping his social circle tight. Yet, in mid-2025, a rare crack in his carefully guarded image appeared. Dating rumors began swirling, claiming Barron was involved with a fellow NYU student. Though unconfirmed, the story caught fire online. A source told People magazine that the Secret Service was well-versed in handling girlfriends, hinting that this wasn't a first-time scenario. Some classmates even said they'd seen him with a girl on campus, but respected his privacy. The buzz didn't seem to rattle Barron. In fact, insiders claimed he handled it calmly and with maturity. After years of scrutiny, it seems Barron has learned how to manage attention with quiet control, even in the realm of dating. Now, nearly 20, Barron remains a mystery to many. Soft-spoken, rarely photographed, and still without any known social media presence. He's one of the most high-profile children in America, yet, arguably, one of the least known. Unlike his older siblings who embraced reality TV and corporate empires, Barron is choosing his own path, calm, slow, and quiet. Whether he eventually steps into business, politics, or simply lives a private life away from the Trump legacy, one thing is clear. He's been raised with caution, class, and an intense focus on self-control. For most of his life, Barron Trump was the quietest figure in America's loudest family. The youngest son of former President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, he was rarely seen, barely heard, and fiercely protected. But in the 2024 presidential campaign, a surprising shift occurred. Let's tell you about that turning point. From private son to campaign spotlight. On July 9, 2024, in Doral, Florida, Donald Trump took the stage at a campaign rally and made an unexpected move. Turning to the audience, he called for someone the crowd had never seen at a political event before. "Barron Trump! This is the first time he's ever done it. Stand up." And just like that, the 6'7" teenager stood before thousands of cheering supporters. Though he didn't speak, his presence alone lit up the internet. Videos of him waving, smiling, and giving a small fist pump went viral within minutes. Political commentators, body language experts, and even TikTokers dissected his every move. "He carries himself like a Trump," one expert noted, pointing to Barron's confidence and charisma. It was Barron's official debut into American politics, and it was calculated, subtle, and effective. But Barron's role in the campaign wasn't limited to applause and photo ops. According to close sources and even Donald Trump himself, Barron was an influential voice behind closed doors. Melania revealed in interviews that her son had become very vocal about political strategy. His biggest contribution? Helping his father tap into the younger generation. Behind the scenes, campaign aides began to notice the youngest Trump's growing influence. Barron was said to be involved in shaping messaging, tone, and platform choices, particularly during prep for the June 2024 presidential debate in Atlanta. According to reports from the Economic Times, he advised Trump to remain calm, composed, and strategic, a shift that surprised viewers and analysts alike. That guidance didn't come from consultants. It came from the digital native son who understood how modern audiences react. Barron reportedly urged Trump to appear on non-traditional platforms like the Joe Rogan podcast, Adin Ross's live stream, and YouTube creators popular with Gen Z. It was a dramatic shift from the usual Fox News circuit. And it worked. Trump's appearance on Adin Ross's stream broke records, drawing millions of young viewers who had never tuned into political content before. Trump later said, "Barron tells me about all the hot guys. Dad, this guy is hot. Go on his show." Barron understood the algorithm better than most campaign staffers. He wasn't just his father's son. He was becoming a political asset. The Republican Party even named Barron as a delegate at large for Florida at the 2024 Republican National Convention. It was a symbolic gesture that recognized his rising status. But just as quickly, he declined. According to Melania's office, Barron had prior academic commitments, likely related to his recent enrollment at NYU's Stern School of Business. Even in his refusal, Barron made headlines. It showed that while he was willing to enter the spotlight, he still valued his autonomy. He was making his own decisions on his own terms. As the campaign progressed, Barron became a symbolic bridge between Trump's legacy and the next generation. His age, demeanor, and digital intuition offered a contrast to the rest of the family's more brash personas. He wasn't performing, he wasn't selling, and he wasn't tweeting. He was simply there, offering quiet strategy and a reminder that Trumpism, whether loved or hated, had younger legs behind it now. Most recently, Barron Trump has confessed something about his father that left even the ever-composed Donald Trump completely stunned. Barron Trump's quiet confession that stunned his father. For much of his young life, Barron Trump has lived in the shadows of the world's loudest political stage. Unlike his half-siblings Ivanka, Don Jr., and Eric, fixtures in their father's presidential campaigns, Barron remained quiet, shielded, and largely unseen. He was the only Trump child raised entirely in the spotlight of Donald Trump's presidency, yet the only one who never spoke publicly. And then, during one intimate moment at a private dinner, he said something that left a room full of adults stunned, and even took Donald Trump by surprise. Patrick Bet-David, a respected entrepreneur and podcast host, shared the story on his show. He had been invited to a private dinner with the former president, joined by others including UFC President Dana White. Trump arrived late, straight from a rally. The mood was relaxed. Then someone brought up Barron. How was he doing? Was he enjoying college? What did he think about politics? And that's when Barron spoke up, calmly, clearly, and without theatrics. "Not us," he said. "We had an easy life." Just 4 words. But according to Bet-David, the entire room went silent. There was something humble and emotional in the way Barron said it. He wasn't bragging. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was acknowledging, almost reverently, the incredible effort and hardship his father endured to build the empire that allowed him and his siblings to live in comfort. For Bet-David, the moment was unforgettable. "He's a freaking stud of a kid to say something like that," he said on air. "That was one of the most impressive things I've ever heard a kid say at that age, because it was emotionally intelligent and grateful." Even more striking was Donald Trump's reaction. A man known for dominating conversations and rarely being caught off guard, Trump looked at Barron with a mix of surprise and pride. According to those present, he didn't interrupt or joke. He just sat there, quiet for once, letting the weight of his son's words settle. And the reason it hit so hard? Because Barron is not known to speak up. In fact, Trump himself has said on multiple occasions that Barron is very tall, very smart, but very quiet. Unlike the rest of the Trump clan, Barron doesn't jump into interviews, post rants on social media, or make flashy statements. He's reserved, careful, and extremely private, which is why, when he does speak, people listen. That dinner wasn't the only time Barron opened up about his father. In a different private setting, as Donald Trump was reflecting on his career and preparing for his 2024 campaign, Barron reportedly said, "Look, no matter what I do, no matter how much money we make, our success will never come close to what our father had to do." It was a striking admission, not because it was dramatic, but because it was so honest. In a world full of privilege, Barron was showing self-awareness and perspective. He understood that while he was born into wealth, his father built it from scratch, clawing his way through real estate, television, and eventually politics. And again, Donald Trump was stunned. He shared later in an interview that Barron had begun offering political advice, guiding his father on how to reach Gen Z voters and better communicate with younger audiences. In a family full of big personalities and louder-than-life ambitions, Barron Trump may just be the quietest force with the deepest emotional resonance. He doesn't need to shout to be heard. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what makes him the one to watch. Everyone's asking the same question. Will Barron Trump follow in his father's political footsteps, or does he have an entirely different path in mind? What the future holds for Barron Trump. Now attending NYU's Stern School of Business, Barron's decision to study in New York rather than follow the Trump family tradition at Wharton says something important. He's choosing his own way. Close to his parents but determined to build something of his own, Barron is stepping into adulthood on his own terms. Friends say he's reserved but thoughtful, a deep thinker with a sharp eye for business and strategy. That maturity was seen during a now famous private dinner. Barron was asked what it's like being part of such a powerful family. Quietly, without theatrics, he said, "Not us. We had an easy life." It was a stunning moment of self-awareness. He wasn't claiming greatness. He was acknowledging the struggle behind his father's success and recognizing that his own journey is just beginning. In 2024, Barron quietly co-founded a real estate venture, Trump, Fulcher, and Roxborough Capital, Inc., with 2 classmates. It was a bold move, showing both entrepreneurial spirit and strategic thinking. Although the company paused due to the presidential election, plans are underway to restart operations in 2025. Their focus? High-end real estate projects across Arizona, Utah, and Idaho. It's a far cry from campaign trails and press conferences, and that's the point. Barron doesn't crave cameras. He chases value. But he's not ignoring politics altogether. Far from it. Behind closed doors, he's been offering his father surprising advice, pushing Donald Trump to modernize his outreach, use podcasts, and connect with Gen Z through influencers and streaming platforms. According to campaign insiders, these suggestions were game changers. Donald Trump himself said, "He's got amazing instincts. He tells me what to do sometimes." Still, Barron turned down a delegate spot at the Republican National Convention. Why? Probably because he's thinking long-term. While everyone's speculating about a political career, Barron may be playing a different game, building a foundation of knowledge and credibility before stepping into any spotlight. One of the most fascinating insights came from Donald Trump himself, who revealed Barron's surprising aptitude for tech. When asked how Barron managed to break through a locked iPad, his answer was short and cheeky. "None of your business, Dad." But behind that wit is something bigger. Barron may have the mindset of a modern entrepreneur, a blend of logic and innovation that could drive him toward the world of startups, cybersecurity, or finance tech. If the Trump legacy has always been about business and bold moves, Barron might be the one to take it digital. It's natural to wonder, will Barron go into politics? Maybe. But if he does, it won't be because of pressure. It will be because he chooses it. Everything so far points to a young man who values independence, strategy, and privacy. Unlike other political families where children are groomed for office, Barron seems more interested in shaping his own legacy, one rooted in discipline, not drama. He has the name, he has the resources, but more importantly, he has the choice. The next decade will be crucial. College will give Barron a structured foundation, while his side ventures continue to explore markets and identity. He may eventually take a public role, but don't expect a grand entrance. His path will likely be more measured, more thoughtful, built on influence, not noise. There's something quietly powerful about a Trump who doesn't need to shout. A generation raised in fame, yet choosing humility. That may be Barron's real legacy. As one observer noted after hearing Barron's quiet comment at that dinner table, "That kid gets it." And maybe, in a world where attention is currency, the one who values silence might just be the one who ends up commanding it all. Donald Trump's vision for Barron's future. Donald and Melania Trump may live under a constant media spotlight, but when it comes to their youngest son, Barron Trump, both parents have carefully shaped a future rooted in freedom, values, and quiet confidence. Behind the scenes, they've cultivated different but surprisingly complementary visions for what lies ahead for their only child together. For Donald Trump, the future is wide open. In a recent podcast interview, he didn't shy away from saying that Barron, like his older siblings, probably has a future in politics. He described all of his children as born smart and hard workers, but when it came to Barron, Trump seemed genuinely surprised by his natural insight and technological skills. He shared a private story that Barron had once unlocked a password-protected laptop and casually told him, "None of your business, Dad." With a laugh, Trump added, "He's unbelievable with technology." That moment, seemingly lighthearted, captured how he sees Barron, not just as a son, but as someone with sharp instincts and an independent mind. Trump has also praised Barron's academic excellence, noting that he had many offers from different colleges before choosing NYU's Stern School of Business. What stood out to Trump most wasn't just the college itself, but Barron's reasoning. He wanted to stay close to family, especially after the passing of his grandmother, Melania's mother. This decision, grounded in loyalty and emotional maturity, impressed Trump deeply. Despite his public image, Trump seems to admire most the quiet strength and decision-making Barron displays in private. Melania Trump, on the other hand, has taken a more protective, nurturing role when it comes to Barron's future. As someone who has largely stayed out of the public eye during Trump's political career, Melania has always put Barron's well-being first. A family insider once noted that he is her world, and it shows. She has been described as deeply involved in his education, daily routines, and emotional development. Melania has said she believes in offering guidance, but also stepping back to let Barron find his own path. "We teach them, we guide them, and then we give them wings to fly," she said. She's emphasized respecting his choices, whether it's school, career, or even political views. While she supports him offering advice to his father, such as encouraging Trump to reach younger voters, she doesn't pressure him to follow anyone's footsteps. What Donald and Melania want for Barron is quite similar: a future where he's free to be who he wants to be, but guided by intelligence, integrity, and family loyalty. Whether that leads him into politics, tech, or an entirely different path, both parents seem to agree on one thing: Barron Trump isn't just growing up under a famous name, he's quietly preparing to make one for himself. So, what are your thoughts on Barron Trump's surprising confession about his father? Share your take in the comments below. We'd love to hear it.